to Schmoedown Night in Canada. I'm Daniel, your ambassador to Korruption, and tonight we have an amazingly new guest. We have Kayla Robinson. How's it going, Kayla?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. So just quickly, before we get into the matches, how did you get into the Schmoedown?
Um, I somehow ended up being subscribed, and I didn't even really know why. And then one day I just started watching matches, and especially I find like with being in school and stuff too, like it was just like a nice way to kind of relax. So, and then this past like couple of years, I've just gotten really into it. So I just kind of stumbled into it randomly.
Yeah, I kind of have the same thing. I was looking for something to pass the time while I was at work and just like to
Yeah.
listen to in the background. And this is kind of the perfect show for that. And kind of the same thing. I found it randomly a few years in and then had to go back to the beginning and watch all the matches and kind of watched one person's story at a time. So I don't know any of the like episode orders.
Yeah,
But
for a while I was just watching random episodes, so or
yeah,
random matches, I guess.
I know a lot about Clark Wolf's run, but I can't tell you what season that was in or who else played in that season necessarily,
Yeah.
because I watched them all out of order. So, yeah, we are going to talk about the recent throwdown where we had Stacey Howard going up against Stacey Howard.
Yeah.
um, this I was expecting Gray to do something, but I was not expecting her to come out as corruption era Stacey, and it
Yeah.
was a very fun show.
It was so fun. I'm so glad
Um,
she's back. Like she's such a fun
yeah,
personality.
yeah, and also like for Stacey, it's a perfect um, like kind of knowledge to knowledge because they're both sort of from the same era, even though I think Gray might have stopped playing before Stacey started, but they're from that like come with what you have and play the game, and then uh, so I thought it was a very good like matchup as well.
Yeah, me too.
Getting into it a little bit, we have Gray Drake uh, actually doing very well in the first round, 7-5 for Gray, and she like really plays up the character very well in the episode, and just like really makes sure she's pretending to be Stacey as much as possible.
Yes.
And I really thought it was great, especially later when Stacey just disses her for not knowing what period pieces and costume dramas was,
Yeah.
and just yeah. Um, she does super well in round two as well. I was surprised, like a returning player from that long ago, stepping in and just knowing perfectly what she was doing. She
Yeah.
had a couple reminders from Gucci, but basically everything was on point. What did you think of Stacey's play, though?
Well, you know, Stacey does what she always does, and she, especially in round three, like even though Gray was like winning up to that point, like I had a feeling that she was going to come out of nowhere and just take the
Mhm.
win.
Yeah,
She's great.
I actually had that exact feeling when Gray did it in round two, pretending to have that Stacey Howard pull when like
Yeah.
she knew it immediately, and then um, from that moment I kind of saw like kind of a flip where like it was giving her momentum the whole time. But when she did that and then like had to go into the third round, which um, she doesn't get, I'm looking here, she doesn't get like the most insane questions, and Stacey kind of does. I'm pretty sure the director of Twilight only directed a handful of movies. So you know the director of Twilight or you don't know that question is how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And
I think it was just bad luck for Gray. Like, she just got questions she didn't know. She was playing incredible up to that point. So
yeah.
it was just unfortunate to see that she couldn't get any of them in round 3.
And I mean, there's not a term for this, but it was quite like a reverse TKO because going into round 3, Stacy's behind, and then she gets a lead of 2 points, and then Drake misses all of her questions, and it does not happen often. But to
No.
see like literally the opposite of what a TKO round is
Yeah.
was very fun. Like a
When was the
reverse.
last time that happened? Like, because I remember it happened in the Video Drew Mark Riley match, because that made me so
Mhm.
sad because I wanted Video Drew to win so bad.
Yeah, that's definitely the
But
most
yeah,
recent time it's happened.
it doesn't happen
Because
often.
no, and I was very sad for Video Drew as well.
Yeah.
Especially like that 2 point lead going into round 3, or like it was a 1 point lead, but the 2 point swing by missing hers and then Mark hitting his, and
Yeah.
that's such a momentum swing.
Yeah. It
And
must hurt a lot as a player too when you're playing so well, like
mm,
every round, and then just to have that happen in round 3 where you just get those questions that stump you.
yeah,
All 3 is just bad luck.
and honestly, like a lot of people love them, but I'm also not going to fault anyone for not having seen Superman.
Yeah.
Like it's a very very dated movie, honestly.
And I think Gray said she did know it. It just didn't come to her in time. Like, she
Yeah,
just, you know,
she does
it's not that
answer
she,
the name of a composer, so like
yeah,
she
she was
definitely,
trying.
yeah, put a composer of that era to it. But I didn't even know it was John Williams, and I've been recently advocating for a John Williams slice in the Inner Geekdom because he does the sound for so many different IG movies that you could almost just put them all together and make a kind of mix between soundtracks and director slice. But it's a very niche thing.
Yeah.
And then it would be, yeah, like 3 Harry Potter movies, a couple Star Wars, Indiana Jones. It'd be an interesting like field of questions there. And speaking of superheroes, we should get into the next match, which is the classic hero versus villains. And
Yes.
this match was the most disappointing thing for me to watch as like the biggest corruption fan and the biggest fan of Chance especially. And um, there's a lot of people who talk about like corruption being like I don't know. I don't really want to talk about anyone who thinks Chance like carries Mike through anything because
Oh, definitely
like
not.
yeah, they have had
No.
as many matches where this goes the opposite direction, and I've definitely seen like honestly, if they had scored a couple more points, they definitely win against most teams that aren't Shazam, which
Yeah.
oh, that was so rough watching the first round.
As like the biggest Shazam fan, it was so great. I
Yeah,
was so happy, but
and Koi
like,
comes into the whole thing with like so much ferocity. I
mm-hmm.
loved him saying like now that the belts are on the line, it's time to leave the quirky at the door and come in with the murky.
Yes.
and
Yeah, Koi is great.
and I mean his players do not disappoint. Shazam goes perfect in the first round, 18
Yeah,
for 18. That is
both Bibbs and
phenomenal play.
Brendan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I mean,
amazing.
it's happened few
Hmm.
times, like when they play in teams, especially, but
Yeah.
it definitely, I've seen a number of championship matches where only one of the four goes perfect, or two of the four. It seems like they try to field slightly tougher questions to championship matches, which I did feel here, and it just they happen to be perfect for Brendan and William Bibiani. And I could see there's a number of questions Mike and Chance knew and missed, especially when we get to the speed round later.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, you could
it,
tell in round one too that like Mike was getting flustered and like in his
yeah,
own head. Like,
like he gets flustered after like missing the first question even, and just because
mhm.
like I mean you missed the first one, now you have a hill to
Yeah,
climb, right?
never a good feeling.
And I'm not sure that he knew the first one, but the
Yeah.
second and third question he started missing, you start seeing he's like close to the answer, but he's thinking down the wrong lane, and
Yeah. You could
definitely
tell he was
like
getting frustrated in himself.
yeah. But Shannon gives them both a great pep talk and tells them
Yeah.
to basically, well, I mean, we don't need to be a family friendly show here. So she tells them to shut the fuck up and stop dwelling on the past and move on into this round. And she tells them, uh, oh, yeah, Shazam defers because they're always welcome to
They
give their
always
opponent
defer.
the first shot. I think Brendan and William do, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
And
usually always do.
I I think I kind of spin first most of the time in my mind, but I like the idea of deferring in this case specifically. You're so far ahead, let's see what you're working with. And
Yeah.
they spin Amy Adams and respin onto dramas. While they go 11 for 12 in this category, I think you stick with a specific category like Amy Adams. It's like, especially in a match that is this big, you should be ready for most of the actor actress slices.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it's very hard to, looking at the wheel that was there, pretty broad, honestly pretty good for corruption. There was a number of different things besides dramas that would have been a 12 for 12, but I don't know. I think you just stick with the thing you know, which
Yeah.
Shazam does when they decide YA novel adaptations, which I'd be
Yeah.
oddly good at. Um,
Yeah, that's come up a few times. Like I remember when it came up in Paul Oyama's match, and I was like, wow, this is a
yeah.
category that I can actually do well in.
Also, yeah, if that comes
But
up
I was
in,
surprised that Shazam took it.
yeah, I mean, Brendan is young
Just because
enough,
they're
even
so good
though
at like, I mean, they're so good at so many things, but and just because it's like,
yeah, Brendan's young enough to know it,
hmm,
but also he seems to like know things from every year before he was born.
yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. And he's so good at like Oscars and stuff too that I wasn't
yeah,
sure. There was a
when
really funny comment in the live chat. I don't know if you saw it, where it was like Brendan probably auditioned for half of these movies, so that might be why.
I mean,
I
it's
was like,
not
oh,
unlikely,
it's a
but
fair point.
also you have to point out that he didn't get the part in a lot of these movies, so maybe he also was spiteful and didn't want to watch them, right?
Maybe.
It's like, ah, they didn't pick me, so. And yeah, Shazam, 10 for 12, two multiple choice. They leave no steals, either team. Uh, a 7 point lead after this many rounds is very, very worrying. At this
Yeah,
point, at this point, I was like hoping and hoping that this betting round went kind of how it does because I needed corruption to make up some points at least. And in the betting round, video games. I thought I had the question here. The Prince Nizam of Persia in Prince of Persia, played by Ben Kingsley, which we should not actually mention because that's some whitewashing bullshit. But both teams managed to know the answer. SHAZAM only bets 1 point because they're far enough in the lead that you don't want to gamble. If you bet too many points and it's not, well, Prince of Persia is a terrible movie, but there are so many bad video game movies. You don't want to lose points to an inner geekdom team, right?
Yeah.
5 point gap. I think they have a shot because I saw the Corruption Founding Fathers teams like the speed round, and I know Chance was going to be very good. And I'm worried about Mike at this point because he's been very shaken, but I think he's pulled it together at this point, and they do not do very well. SHAZAM opts to go first, which I dislike in this lightning round. I've said it a number of times. I think you should go second so you hear, basically so the announcer has a chance to read all the questions more times.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Because there's been a few times where they kind of like stumble. Like I don't think it really happened in this match, but they kind of stumble. No. So once they got kind of familiar with the questions, it goes a little smoother.
Yeah,
just so it doesn't throw you off as a competitor.
I think it's just a case of they read the questions before the stream 2 or 3 times just to have a like memory to bring back. But yeah, like I think you should always just not take the chance and just make sure Mark has read those questions 1 extra time. What can it hurt?
Yeah.
And SHAZAM is a team that defers. It seemed so strange for them to go on the attack at this point, but I can also understand it when you're this close. You're 2 rounds away from taking belts home and taking away from the villains of the league. And if I'm not mistaken, yes, the leader of the faction standings. So you get to both play spoiler and like make some big points and some big match at spectacular for your team. Meyer hits 4 of the questions and misses 1. Bibbs hits 4, passes 1. That's not bad.
No.
Mike misses 1, passes on 1. Chance also misses 1 and passes on 1. That is actually the worst speed like lightning round that we've seen so far, and the biggest swing because especially with the lead last time it was Founding Fathers in the lead at this point, and I think they both missed 1 but they answered all the other 4, so it was a like 6-10 or 6-9, and this one is like 7-4, and oof. Where do we? Wow, I wish I took better notes here.
I was gonna rewatch it again, but I didn't have time. But it was hard to watch because they both did so well in the Founding Fathers match that it was just a rough round.
Yeah. When I had to watch this one to like take the notes, because I couldn't watch it again like completely. It was tough enough to watch.
Yeah, especially for you.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to rewatch it. SHAZAM lost.
Yeah. I just had it on pause and I just skipped through and just like recorded like, okay, this was a correct, this was a correct, this is the score. Yeah. let's get away from this. Although I did rewatch the 3rd round because this was, with a better speed round, the time Corruption really could have come back, because it turns out that they get their first, their second, and their 3rd question, which they needed to do because they were down 8 points.
Yes.
Which, yeah, that's the toughest thing that you can do. And to get Meryl Streep and musicals, and that does not seem like the strengths of Mike and Chance. So
Yeah.
it
Although,
was a good. They were kind of like well known,
yeah. But then at least they got a 5-pointer
and
that
yeah,
they could.
uh,
There was no doubt they were gonna miss that.
yeah. And I was super worried that they were gonna lose on a challenge because like Chance's internet skipped. Like I was gonna
Mm,
be so sad. It's like,
yeah.
no, I said the Punisher. I said it so many times. Please.
Well, yeah. Christian kind of
And
like shot it down right away. So,
yeah, he's just like, it glitched. We all saw the
yeah.
camera. Yeah. Although, also, if you're in the game, you might not have been looking at Chance's camera. You could have
And it
been
was kind
looking
of hard
at
to tell that it
anyone.
glitched.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you
Uh,
weren't paying a lot of attention.
yeah. And then Shazam. Oof. Second 2 point question, Brendan. Damien Bashir stars as Detective Goodman in a 2020 horror movie. Honestly, I didn't know movies came out in 2020. It's been a hell of a year.
Yeah.
They're running out of movies for that fit that new releases 6 to 8 or 12 to 18 months. Like they're gonna have
No,
to
for sure.
expand it a little bit in the next couple of Schmoedown seasons.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised that Brendan took that one over Bibbs, just because
Mhm.
Bibbs is a critic, and I feel like he would have, he's probably keeping up, but there's not that many movies to keep up with, but still.
Mhm.
But
Although,
it
like
may
when
not
you
have
look
worked
at
out if
it,
Brendan
yeah.
had taken the 3, because I don't think he knew the answer to that one either.
No, I mean, I think he kind of says as much in the
Yeah,
like
he was
post.
shaking his head, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, and Bibbs hasn't even seen the movie, but he happened to guess the right person that played a character he couldn't have known because he's never seen this movie.
No, but
And
that's Bibbs. Bibbs is
yeah,
incredible.
and see, like that's another thing is like the three in thrillers. You think Bibiani has got this, and the match is over. But when he later revealed that he's never seen this movie before, I could not even like. I was so mad.
Yeah.
And yeah, like they definitely played super well, and I have
Mhm.
no doubt between the two of them they hit that 5 and it's over anyway. But to just
Yeah.
to win on a question you don't even know is some Stacey Howard magic bullshit, and it's disappointing for me anyway.
Well, I
I'm
know
sure you were very excited.
I was so happy. I know Bibbs did say, like, I'm pretty sure he said that whenever he thinks about a movie, he tries to look at the IMDb page as
Mhm.
well. So that he's probably thought about it at some point, looked at it, and with Bibbs, the knowledge was
Yeah,
there.
and see, like they, especially because I don't actually know what this movie is. I should
Yeah.
definitely check it out. But a lot of them seem to know what it was in,
Hmm.
like it was in the movie periphery, so it must be
Yeah.
a pretty good movie. But it
I
just
haven't seen
happened to escape
it.
his purview and a lot of ours, I guess. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll be the next Remember the Titans. um, so you've mentioned that Shazam is your favorite team and William's your favorite player.
Yeah.
Do you have like a particular time that he became your favorite player?
Honestly, like, I feel like it was when Shazam started almost becoming a team too, like at the free for all when he was basically
Mhm.
there the entire time. And then, just when the storyline started kind of happening where the kid and Bibbs might be a team, I was so invested. And then when they actually ended up being a team, that was just the best. So, and then it was heartbreaking last year when they didn't end up winning at Spectacular. So, I
Yeah.
was so happy for them this year.
I was cheering for them last year at Spectacular,
Yeah.
but I couldn't cheer for them over my boys, but I
That's fair.
I can definitely say they deserved to win, especially uh
Yeah, they played incredible.
yeah, they played basically how well they have always played, because
Yeah.
you can guarantee they get like most of the points in round one. You can guarantee they get most of the points in round two. They just needed to keep all of the other rounds as consistent as the first two, and they've they've played tough opponents their whole time. They definitely were going to win the championship at some point. They just
Yeah, no, for
definitely came
sure.
up short last year.
It just would have been hard if they came up short again, but
Mm.
I'm glad it didn't happen.
And yeah, I always liked Bibbs when he was like on critically acclaimed, and
Yeah.
I always enjoyed back when all of the teams were just other people's shows, and so and critically acclaimed just worked so well as like a kind of wrestling team name for two guys who are just critics, and they
Yeah.
just their show was perfectly named to be the team name of two Schmoedown competitors. And I I miss him and Whitney, but definitely him and Brendan are like one of the best teams we've ever seen in the Schmoedown.
Yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
cannot wait to see if they're the ones who get a defense under their belts, and maybe they end up, I don't know. We're gonna see. If you want to, I can try and pull up the teams tournament.
Yeah, for sure.
um, I have, I mean, obviously I'm a shill. I have Deception winning the tournament, but that's
Yeah,
we have Tom and Paul versus Final Exam.
that one's
We
going to
have,
be a tough match.
yeah, that's a
Hard to
kind of,
say.
yeah, definitely a pick 'em. We have
Hmm.
Founding Fathers versus the Witching Power or the Misfits. They're doing the play-in. That one is also kind of a pick 'em. I have the Witching
Yeah.
Power after watching the way. Oh, thank you so much.
So
Yeah,
helpful.
I have the Witching Power going in because watching the way SHAZAM played here and knowing that this is a team that definitely trains together, and
Yeah.
plus with what Perry did in this singles tournament, if Haley's as serious about it, we're looking at a very interesting, very interesting play-in match here. And I hope
Yeah.
both Zipper and Wit are ready for it.
See, I love the quirky mercs, but I'm kind of hoping that the Misfits does go far, just because I really want to see like Adam Witt finally get like a win in the
Mm.
Schmoedown.
Also, if they take out the Founding Fathers, that's just
Yeah.
kind of secures the victory for either Corruption or SHAZAM, or Corruption or Swag, I should say.
Yes.
Because, yeah, and honestly, at that point, the faction leadership might come down to Chance versus Chandru, which I kind of hope everything ends at Spectacular the way Dan said, but a little different than what he said. Over in the other corner, I have no idea what to make of Category 9.
Yeah.
I'm worried about anything Brandon Hanna does in any division. So definitely wondering how many of these movies he's really seen, what his strengths are going to be.
Yeah. That's going to be a really interesting match.
Yeah, and I hope like it just happens to be movies that Jader hasn't seen, and like this team is just the perfect like Brandon's like an inner geekdom center, but obviously he's seen other types of movies,
Yeah.
and maybe he's kind of more the popular like blockbuster, and Jader knows a lot of like old like classics. He knew Meryl Streep very well. He knows quite a few of these movies you wouldn't expect. I can see that being an interesting matchup, but I
Yeah.
don't think they take the odd couple.
I don't think so either, but especially with the way Jeff is playing in the singles tournament, like he's playing
Yeah.
incredible. But you know, anything can happen, and the odd couple does have moments where, you know, it doesn't go their way and they kind of get frustrated or they get flustered and like kind of don't do as good as I think they could. But Roxy does a really great job kind of just helping them get through that too. But it'll be interesting to see like if category 9 does get something that they're really good at, and if Brandon Hannah's general knowledge isn't too bad, then they could put up a fight at least. So it could happen.
See, until like the semifinal, I would have definitely said that about the odd couple. Like, honestly, it all depends on Jeff. But
Yeah.
the way Roxy gave him the same sort of pep talk that Channing gives in this match here, and
Yeah,
just
she did great.
just breaks him out of his funk, and he goes on
So,
to like win that match in pretty decisive fashion.
Yeah. So hopefully, I mean, if they bring that to this match, there's no way I can see category 9 winning, but who knows?
But also, I can see category 9 winning, and that spelling the end of the odd couple, which we have seen around for quite a while. Them and the Founding Fathers, as well as Korruption, are just like the last couple of Anarchy teams that are left.
Yeah. And I think, didn't Jeff Snyder say that too? If they didn't get far in this tournament, it might be the end of them?
He said kind of. He said like if their play is not up to like the right caliber. So he's not saying even losing is what breaks them up. It's that if they don't do well at all, which I would hate to see a bad round 1 or 2 drop the team, but I could definitely see them going elsewhere and becoming very good partners for other people as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Jeff Snyder with like, I mean, I don't want to break them up right away, but Jeff Snyder and Ethan Irwin would be a phenomenal team.
Yeah, that would be a scary team to face.
I might look out for a Jeff Snyder, Paul Preston team. That would be fun. But we got this bottom bracket here of Deception, Adam Collins and Marisol McKee, and Lethal Weapons, Ethan Irwin and Andrew Guy. I don't know about Andrew Guy. I know he's a definitely good teams player, but I'm worried about him personally because someone has definitely gotten to him, and he is being watched at all times, and I'm really worried. I'm not sure how that will affect his play in the matches.
Guess we'll find out.
It didn't affect his management too much.
Yeah, but, he did good managing Ethan, so.
Of these teams, if you just picked one to go up against SHAZAM, who would you really want to see at the Spectacular? Well, do you want to see them like avenge their loss against Founding Fathers or go up against someone new?
Yeah, going against Founding Fathers would be really interesting. I love Tom and Paul, so part of me would love to see that, and also just to see like more Tom, just because I think he's so funny. But I think probably the Founding Fathers. I think it'll be really interesting if Deception does end up winning, and then they end up going against another Korruption team, and then because especially with Brendan losing to Adam Collins, it gives him a chance to like kind of get some redemption there, but
Absolutely.
also Corruption's going to be wanting those belts back in their faction.
Also, speaking of redemption, I can definitely see Final Exam wanting some redemption, and
Yeah.
they took a heavy loss to SHAZAM in order to,
Yes.
like, they fell into this tournament, and SHAZAM went on to win the title. So they might have something
That
to
would be,
say.
I think whichever team ends up winning is just going to be, I mean, it's going to be incredible whichever team wins, because like no match in here is going to be easy.
Yeah, especially with such a small tournament, like you're so stacked that you kind of just flip some coins, and that's how you decide who wins these.
Yeah.
There's a couple of rookie teams that you could maybe put the money on the more established people, but we've seen in the singles tournament that a lot of these rookies are insanely good at like movie trivia, and especially very good at the Schmoedown game. And yeah,
For
I'm
sure.
excited for them. I'm excited for SHAZAM. I'm excited to see where Grey Drake ends up next year.
Yeah.
I can definitely see Finstock picking her back up, but I could see a different faction snaking her before he has a chance, because I think he has some rebuilding to do next year. Definitely needs to get some Inner Geekdom players onto his faction, and not like force the Barbarian to play in every division to make him some points.
Yeah. Although it worked out. I mean, Barbarian's great.
It worked out for third
Yeah.
place. We'll see at the end of the day.
Like, got him some points.
Yeah.
But yeah, Grey is definitely going to be on like a lot of people's radar. So I don't know if she will end up on the Finstock Exchange.
Yeah. And Stacy just winning another match that she maybe shouldn't have, but you can't really say that because of the way that she does it so consistently that you can't just call it luck. It's
Yeah.
definitely something that most players do not have, and the ones that do, I think the ones that do and like study are your Paulo Yamas, your Chance Ellisons, your Brendan Myers, just like that ability to both guess through context and also just know so much that you can put it together is something you see really leading people forward. I could see Stacy being a great partner on a championship team. Like
For
you
sure.
you give her somebody who plays the game very well, Ben Bateman, Paulo Yama, someone like that who's a real like killer in the ring, and they could definitely go some places.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you wanted to say anything else about the new champions or about Gray or Stacy.
Well, thanks so much for inviting me on. I was kind of worried, like on Friday, I was like, man, if SHAZAM loses, I might be really sad during this stream.
Yeah, that's how I've
So
felt
I'm really glad I
since
won.
Corruption lost.
Since I already told you I'd be on. But yeah, I'm so happy for them. They're just my favorite team. So obviously, I'm glad that now they are champions.
Yeah, and the Mercs pick up 3 points because it's a championship teams match, and they go to 35. They're still 17 points out. They are basically eliminated. They could technically get 17 points. If actually, the Witching Power plays 4 matches, and they're worth I guess they could pick up 15 and then 20 points, but that means Corruption would have to lose all their matches going forward. And
Yeah,
so
I
would Swag.
don't think that's going
And
to happen.
well, the issue is Swag and Corruption can't both lose all their matches because Chance and Chanju play at the end. But I mean, maybe with a couple of extra matches coming in on undercards, Kevin Smith has a match. The Quirky Mercs aren't
Yeah.
completely out of it, but we're definitely vying for Koi's Manager of the Year here. He put together an amazing second half, and the Brendan and William led that faction. They've picked up so many points in singles and teams, doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
And even what he
William will
did
be
with
in
the
a
real
horror free-for-all.
rejects.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was
That was,
incredible.
yeah, no one was expecting them when he entered them in the tournament to get a win.
Mhm.
So
And I was cheering for John Humphrey so much.
me
He has
too. I really didn't think he was gonna get the win against Janine, but he played incredible.
yeah. I
I was
mean, I
so
was also
happy, but
cheering
sad
for
for
Janine.
Janine.
Yeah, I was
Mm-hmm.
also
Me
cheering
too.
for
It was a
Janine
heart.
because we rep our Canadian Schmoedown pros,
Yeah.
but
Love
also
Janine.
like I want Disney to be in the Inner Geekdom so badly that a character with the Mad Hatter moniker is just definitely going to win me over any day of the week. But thank you so much for joining. I'm happy I roped you into this before you knew the outcomes.
Yeah. I was like, man, I might have to try to get out of this if Shazam loses.
We would have figured something out, but I'm
I'm
very
kidding,
happy
but
that you came anyway.
but yeah, thank you so much for inviting me in.
Yeah,
It
is
was
there
fun.
anywhere you want to be found?
Not really. I am on Twitter, so I guess if anyone wants to follow me, they can. I think it's Kayla A, so Kayla with 2 A's, and then just Rob. So
Right.
you guys can find me there if you'd like.
And I can be found at my handle down here on Twitter at Avengers_SOTN. That's Schmoes of the North, which if you don't mind, if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy our videos in general, make sure to head on over and hit the subscribe button on our YouTube page, hit the like button on this video. You can go over to our Facebook page, which is also Schmoes of the North, a Schmoedown fan page, and we're joined over there. We do some fantasy leagues, we do some polls and stuff. We're a bunch of Canadian fans dedicated to the Schmoedown. So if you want to have a good time, come join us. So have a good night or good day, everybody, and thanks for watching.